Hello, OWL members. I am thrilled to announce this month's Inside the OWL Studio will feature EyeCare Partners, who is one of OWL's new uniting sponsors. EyeCare Partners is a clinically integrated partnership of optometry and ophthalmology clinics and surgery centers providing a full spectrum of eye care. Through new partnerships, they continue to expand their network and are committed to setting the industry standard in patient care and innovation. They have a mission to enhance vision, advance eye care, and improve lives. Without further delay, I'm excited to introduce today's interviewee, Kari Holloway, PhD and President of the Ophthalmology Division of EyeCare Partners. Kari has a proven track record in innovative, high-growth businesses where she combines a focus on driving growth with balancing operational excellence matched with a deep commitment to innovation and culture building. With P&L responsibility for high-growth, tech-oriented businesses, Kari is recognized for extensive experience in strategy, commercialization, and operations. Welcome to Inside the OWL Studio, Kari.
Oh, thank you for having me, Abigail. It's a pleasure.
All right, so as you know, the OWL organization continually strives to create networking and educational opportunities to support the mission of advancing diversity and leadership. We find it hugely beneficial to hear from other organizations about their efforts around diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. With that being said, I'm very excited to hear from you about EyeCare Partners initiatives in this area. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. At EyeCare Partners, we early on decided that one of the things we needed to do was create really strong partnerships across the organization. And that, of course, can span a number of different things. One is connecting people with similar interests or backgrounds, which of course serves a lot of people in different ways. The other structure we have is a really strong partnership with our doctor leaders. Those are both optometrists and ophthalmologists. And our construct around that is known as the Medical Executive Board. The Medical Executive Board has a number of different committees that are co-led by a business leader and one of our esteemed doctors. And over the last 18 months or so, we've known that we needed to spend some more time on the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we decided it made a lot of sense to pull together that group through the Medical Executive Board and set up a committee specifically for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the experience that that small group has had over the last really 6 months or so has been tremendous. I think just simply a lot of times providing a space, a venue, dedicated time to talk through things that oftentimes I think as we're all moving very quickly, they don't rise to the surface in the way that some of these issues should be, and getting the attention that they need from executive leaders and doctor leadership. So I think one of the things that we're quite proud of is the construct of this particular body or committee, and then connecting that to the other diversity committees we have throughout the organization. So those are our teammates that pull together on different topics and really trying to bridge some of those conversations, and then most importantly, set an agenda. So as a collective body, we can say these are the 3 or 4 things that we really want to wrap our arms around over the next 6 months. Because a lot of times everyone has a lot of thinking around this topic, but until you get tangible and say, look, we're really going to focus on this next 2 months, we're really going to focus on this the next 2 months, and get tactical on that plan, it often can feel like a bit disenchanting for those that are part of these types of groups because they're not seeing the forward progression.
Yeah. It sounds too like, I like this approach where you're actually taking 1 or 2 things or 1 or 2 objectives and trying to, address those rather than maybe 10.
Everything, yeah. Yeah, because it very much, I think that with a topic that everyone has so much passion around, such as this one, everyone's coming from a unique perspective on this, especially those folks that have raised their hand and want to be part of the committee. The key has been focus, because you're right. You could take one topic and span it out and work on it for 18 months, but it's dicing it up and saying, what can we actually get done in the next 2 months to get us some momentum and then continue to rally everyone around those smaller wins to make progress over time.
That's great. And And how, with this group that you formed internally, what are kind of your measures of success? Because you said it's been great, but how do you kind of judge what a success is,
Yeah, so let's give some particulars of some of the things we wanted to spend time on, because some of them are easier than others, certainly.
Yeah.
So one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that throughout our communities with our practices and our surgery centers, that we were actually acknowledging differences. And we decided some simple ways to do that was, of course, make people aware of different holidays, different things to celebrate, and really be promoting a calendar so that those folks in those offices can say, hey, it's Friday, let's celebrate this particular thing. And then people have something to rally around because they're aware of some of these things that are worthy of celebrating. And then same thing on social media. So we've said, okay, every month we're going to celebrate something, whether it's Disability Month or whichever thing is popping up. We're going to be more vocal about acknowledging and valuing the people in those communities. So those are a couple of, I would say, the easier, the more tactical things, but those things matter and those things show momentum.
That's awesome. I love that idea. And actually, that's the first time I've heard that in an interview. So I think that's wonderful. Any other particular activities or programs that you'd like to mention that EyeCare Partners is implementing or thinking of implementing in the diversity area?
Well, it's interesting. Our diversity work crosses over a lot into our community work as well. And, our focus from a philanthropy perspective is really to enrich the communities in which we are actively working, living, a part of. So in those communities, we focus on local events, on local engagement, making sure that people have the access they need to healthcare services and connecting the dots so that as someone goes and sees their primary eye doctor, that they have a good understanding of what happens next and how to connect to those types of specialists. So I think those two things bleed over pretty well because a lot of our efforts around inclusion include inclusion of certain communities that are local to where we live.
I love that. And you all at EyeCare Partners, I would think you're in a very unique position to do that. And I think that's very commendable. And I applaud you for that. It's so important at that community local level, kind of to give back or make sure that those communities are addressed, So.
Yeah, it's we have so many of our doctors in particular and our teams that go on fantastic trips around the world, helping people in different areas, and fantastic efforts. And we also need to simply look closer to home as well, because there's a lot of need here in the communities in which we're already based.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Any last words that you would like to our audience to hear, or anything else you'd like to mention?
No, just appreciate the opportunity to talk about EyeCare Partners and the fantastic team we have here.
Awesome. And Kari, I just want to thank you and EyeCare Partners for your support of OWL. It is so important to us and invaluable. So we're really happy that your organization has engaged with us and just so appreciate it.
We're thrilled to be a part of it. I think that we obviously share a lot of common values here. So we're happy to be part of the partnership.
I agree. And so we're going to end with these fun questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite word in EyeCare?
My favorite word in EyeCare is, I would say, hope. I've been in healthcare a long time, but one of the interesting things about optometry, ophthalmology is in some parts of healthcare, you're fixing things. And I think in our space, the amazing part is we're not only fixing things, but in a lot of cases, we're making it better than it was before. And that's pretty amazing.
That's awesome. And that's so true. Really. What is your least favorite word?
I would say access. I think for the demographics that we serve and the number of providers we have, we are in and will continue to enter in a phase where that's going to feel lopsided, right? And not everyone's going to easily be able to access the care that they need. So we're going to have to continue to get innovative around care models and how we best utilize the amazing providers that we do have to make sure we can take care of as many people as possible.
Absolutely agreed. What profession or role in this space, other than the one you have currently, would you want to undertake?
There are so many. I think one of the more interesting roles we have is that of patient educator. And, I look at this through the lens of people that are, particularly with cataract surgery, walking into something that they're only going to do once. And what a big decision it is. And they are really leaning on the insight, the expertise of those folks that are sitting down with them and saying, okay, here's what's going to happen. Here are the options you have ahead of you. Here are the pros and cons of each. And I think that particular role, like all of the different pieces and parts of this organization have a tremendous impact. But that one always sticks out to me of the impact those individuals are able to make in connecting with the patient, helping them guide through something that is going to be incredibly impactful for them for the rest of their life, how they see and how they want to make sure that they're set up for the most success they can find there.
On the opposite flip side of that, is there a role in our space that you would not like to attempt, and why?
I don't think there's one I wouldn't want to attempt. I would say that some are very intimidating. I look at our technicians that are handling a tremendous load every day with patients coming in and different things that each person needs, and just the necessary juggle of making sure everyone's having a great experience. Wouldn't say I wouldn't want to do it. It's intimidating to me, and I have a ton of admiration for the folks working day to day with the patients, because those are demanding positions and they handle it with absolute grace.
Agreed. If you could do any one singular thing to contribute to diverse leadership in eye care, what would it be? And it might be something you're already doing. So.
Well, one of the passion projects for me, and simply, right, we all come from wherever our personal experiences are. I think there are likely a good number of people earlier in their career that just simply need perspective on options and where different paths could take them. For me, earlier in my career, I was served so well by people being so generous with their time and their perspective. And so I think us making sure that cohort of folks that are at a certain decision point, especially coming in and maybe they're thinking of certain roles as, oh, I'll do this for a couple of years, then I'll go do something else, without understanding how tremendous this space in healthcare is and all the different paths that they could be then leading themselves to over the next couple steps they take. So I think for me, there's a lot of energy around how do we start to solve for that in a way that's both serving the individual, but it's also wide enough that we're providing enough impact to really change the tide.
That's awesome. And I just have the fun surprise question left for you.
Okay.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I think that for me, it would be likely being able to look into the future, maybe not 10 years, but even a year, because I feel as though hindsight is such a beautiful thing, even short term, to be able to say, oh, this is going to be okay. It's going to turn out all right. And these different things will show up. So maybe just some glimmers of being able to look 1 year ahead or 5 years ahead. I think that could serve a lot of us in a good way, just to help us with perspective.
That's awesome. Well, Kari, that does it for me today. Again, thank you so much to you and EyeCare Partners for all that you do every day. And it's been a pleasure to speak with you, and thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.